I've had multiple men refuse to sleep with me. I haven't even had the opportunity to take my clothes off, and they've said no. And I've never been really a one-night stand girl, but times that I've been like, fuck it, like I want to get some, and dip. I've had guys flat out say no, I have too much. I'm like, out of all places, and you're telling me no, and I've met you at the club. I'm talking to this man, and he's like, I'm going to go to the bathroom. I said, should we go fuck in the bathroom? I looked him dead in the eyes when I said it, but I was joking. I wouldn't have actually, but...
I mean, come on. I know you. You know you. And I know you know that I know you.
And I have too much respect for you. So, no. And I'm like, what's a girl got to do to get dick around here? Just kidding. But you know what I mean? Like, and we spoke about it, and I'm like, that's such a green flag response. Don't worry, he doesn't have a girlfriend. Actually, even if he did, these motherfuckers are doing it anyway, so disregard that. But like, God forbid I wasn't joking. This man said no to having sex with me. This is why, girls, I preach the whole development, inner work, having respect for yourself, blah, 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 blah. Because as much as shit...
Today's subject is slavery.
If she gave you a guilt-free pass to sleep with anybody, would you take it?
No, sir. You might get one pass, but at the end of the day, you want one wife. And this is the wife I want. So no.
Okay. Now what about you if he gave you one?
If he gave me a guilt-free pass, I would take it.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Sorry.
That's crazy.
Who would you take it with?
Lindy Waters III.
What is wrong with this generations? This is why men are done with modern dating. Just one look at his face, and you can see the exact moment he realized she doesn't respect him at all.
Don't even know who that is. That's our problem. Yup.
Who else?
Barry Sanders. I'm in love with him.
Now what do you think those men have over your men?
They're professional athletes.
That's crazy. Hey.
Black or white?
One is Native American and one's black.
But do you think that any of those guys would go for you?
Junior would.
That's crazy. Hey, at the end of the day, it's whatever. Whatever. At the end of the day, I don't care.
I hope he broke up with her after this, because this girl is meant for the street.
What happened to men pursuing girls? When was the pivotal moment that a man chose to not go after a girl anymore or put in any effort? It seems like guys can just put the bare minimum and not even really put in effort anymore. They don't really care to. Or
what? Why? You're part of the problem.
Reversal, where they expect girls to be making the first moves, yearning for a guy and chasing him. That is, I feel like, the downfall of why it's so hard to meet someone, because men don't put in effort anymore or don't care to put in effort. And a relationship won't work unless the guy likes the girl just a tiny little bit more. He has to like her just the tiniest bit more for it to work in the long haul. So it would make sense if a guy really wanted to get to know you, that he would go leaps and bounds to get to know you. And when did that shift?
It shifted when women want to be pursued, but call it harassment. They want effort, but call it desperate. They want leadership, but call it controlling. So men just opted out.
Bounds to get to know you. And when did that shift? Because back in my mom's era, if a guy wanted to take you out on a date, he had to go up to you, he had to get your number, he had to go through lengths to try to talk to you, even if you weren't interested at first. How my parents met? They met at a bar, and my dad asked for my mom to dance, and my mom was like, get out of here. She wanted nothing to do with him. If he had just left and listened to her, they would have never gotten married, they would have never had kids. But he was persistent. He wanted to take her out on a date so badly. He was like, what do I have to do to take you out on a date? She was working late their first date, so he went to her work, picked her up, prepped a dinner, took her to a park, just planned the whole thing. He wrote her poetry. He was yearning. How my aunt and my uncle met. My aunt was a dancer on a cruise ship, and he was the photographer. And he was persistent. She overheard him one night saying to his buddy, he was like, I'm gonna marry that girl. He had just met her. And now they're married and they have 2 kids together. I don't hear anything like that now. Now we're praising eye contact. Now we're praising if a guy held a door open to us and smiled. That is what we're praising. It feels so backwards. I just wonder when it shifted, because I feel like that is the whole downfall of why it's so hard to meet someone now, because men just don't care anymore.
What are we trying to do?
Honestly, I'm just here for the free food.
Of course you would be. I mean, yeah, nice. That's fine. Yeah, let's go. Are you at least gonna give me something?
No, I don't do that on the first date.
All right. Where do you live so I can drop you off?
I'll just get out.
Yeah.
Women will use men for free meals all day and call it dating. But the moment a man expects anything back, now he's disrespectful. You don't get to have standards after you just scammed someone for food.
Honey, every 5 seconds on my phone, asking me for something.
Why are people done with dating? Well, let me tell you. Ghosting, breadcrumbing, love bombing, situationships, emotional unavailability, avoidant attachment, anxious attachment, all the attachments, gaslighting, just friends, commitment issues, intimacy issues, blame shifting, conflict avoidance, unmet needs, ignored boundaries, fear of intimacy, fear of accountability, people disappear, unhealed wounds. The list goes on. What else do you got?
Dating became a job interview where you're constantly being tested, compared, and replaced. Men realize they can focus on themselves, build wealth, and have peace instead of auditioning for someone who might leave the second something better comes along.
Why American men don't want to date American women anymore. A little disclaimer, I do live in the US for the past 7 years. 1. Some American men feel that American women are very entitled. They feel that many American women expect a partner who fit a specific ideal. He has to be smart, attractive, successful, fit. They believe that many American women have unrealistic expectations. They expect their partners to do everything, and they expect their partners to put their needs above their own. 2, because of the rise of radical feminism, there is a loss of femininity among American women, and they even started to adopt some masculine traits. 3, opportunistic behavior. A big percentage of divorces are initiated by women, and usually is because they prioritize their career and personal growth over their family life. And a lot of men also express some frustration because they feel that there is a lack of commitment and loyalty among American women. And that is why a lot of American men are now dating non-American women, because they believe that non-American women tend to prioritize mutual respect, shared values, and commitment.
When a man can go to another country and find a woman who's feminine, cooperative, and actually wants to build with him, why would he stay and deal with constant disrespect, entitlement, and being told he's the problem for wanting a peaceful relationship?
Girls put guys in the friend zone.
Because we don't like them, they're too nice.
What's wrong with being nice?
We like talking.
What do you want? What do you want?
It's not that simple.
What do you want?
And you gotta play hard to get, because men love the chase. They actually don't anymore, okay? They are not fucking with the chase anymore, let me tell you. Ladies, it has changed, okay? And look, I'm not actually unhappy about all of it. It's been ingrained in us as young women that not to be too easy, right? And that men love the chase, and that they're only gonna want you if you don't want them, and you gotta play hard to get, right? And I've always thought it was bullshit, honestly. I don't want to. That takes too much work, you know? But now it's gone too far the other way, where they want us to literally do all the work instead. It is unfortunate that both men and women are getting fed horrible advice, horrible information from both sides, that's really honestly pitting us against each other. Let's just literally treat both men and women the same, like how we want to be treated, equally, and I think we'll be good, right? People inflate this idea of like men and women are so different to be really something that it's not.
We are absolutely wired completely different. Men want respect, women want security. Men communicate directly, women communicate emotionally. Pretending we're the same is why nobody understands each other anymore.
We want people who cheat. We both don't want to do all of the work, right? It has to be 50-50, at least when it comes to effort. We both don't want to have to play hard to get. We both don't want people who gaslight us. Like, it's simple things. And I feel like this red pill and then a lot of the misandrist, stuff that women are getting shoved down their throats on TikTok that you might not even notice, but is subconsciously, leaking in. I think people aren't realizing how much that can actually affect. And then not only that, but how wrong it actually is.
If a man can't spend $75 or $100 on a first date, he just shouldn't be dating.
And all we can do is pray for her. But still, this is real shit. It's interesting. It's an interesting phenomenon is what it is. That's a damn phenomenon.
My dad said it seems like young men don't want to get married anymore, and I wanted to ask the internet why that might be. Like, I definitely have ideas of why it might be, but I'd rather hear from real people. It's also interesting that it coincides with that statistic that's been thrown around a lot lately, which is that 40% of women of marriageable age are going to be single by the year 2030. And what's interesting is it's by choice. Like, we're all choosing not to do this anymore. And I know that
by 2030, women won't be choosing to be single, they'll be forced into it. They spent their 20s chasing the top % of men and rejecting everyone else. Now those men moved on, and there are no options for them anymore.
Myself included, there's a lot of hesitancy because we've been hurt and we're afraid. So I'm curious, what is it from the male perspective? Or do you think all of this is just like a consequence of the culture we live in now with like hookup culture and the internet? I don't know. Let me know what I should tell my dad. Thanks.
I'm just going to talk about this comment that was left on one of my videos, and there's quite a few men that leave similar comments to this, and this proclamation that, this is why men are staying single. And this is obviously not all men, but there is a reason why men do this, and the reason that men say I'm staying single, which in other terms basically means I'm also willing to have a string of hookups that mean nothing to get my own needs satisfied, is that the reason that they do this is because they are not willing to face themselves. Any man that says, I'm staying single is because they do not want to be in a situation that is causing them to face parts of themselves that have been denied, that have been repressed, where they are not taking accountability for the way that they show up in relationships. And obviously, if they're not in relationship or opening themselves up to the right person, they're not going to have this mirroring. And so by isolating and saying, this is why men are staying single, it's just basically another way of saying, I don't want to face myself. Because unfortunately in Western society and sort of in the modern world, men are becoming apathetic, they're becoming more feminized. And when wounded feminine energy shows up in men, it causes them to lack accountability, to not want to take responsibility, to be flighty, to not commit to things, which is automatically a massive turn off to women that are in a healed feminine energy. And so the sorts of women that they would actually, thrive in relationship with, they're not attracting anyway, because they're not opening themselves up to the possibility that actually they're the ones that are responsible for the type of women that they're actually pulling in the first place. And so it becomes this vicious cycle. But when men say, that they're staying single as an act of, trying to control their circumstances, the reality is underneath that they're feeling very much out of control. And because they don't have a language for communicating, what's going on underneath, because no man that is in a healed masculine energy is going to make this proclamation and decide that he's going to be single for the rest of his life. Because when you look at the way that obviously masculine energy thrives in life, it is to build, it's to continuously have something to move towards, to build some sort of legacy for self, and to feel as if they're creating a foundation, and building building something. And so when you're saying, you know, I'm cutting off my own growth, which is obviously what comes from being in a relationship anyway, they're automatically showcasing they're not actually in their masculine. Because to get to the end of your life and basically look back and say, you know, I worked a job that was okay, that paid the bills, sat on my own money so I didn't have to pay anything, you know, for women, and, you know, got to the end of my life with a string of hookups. You look back at that as a legacy for a male, and the level of regret that would come with that is not going to feel good. So if a man makes this proclamation, then this is what he really means. And emotional fulfillment in life comes from the depth of intimacy we have with our partners, with the people that are closest to us. And when we cut ourselves off from that and the possibility of exploring that, we don't live an emotionally fulfilling life. We live a life that's filled with surface level distractions, surface level projections that don't actually lean into anything of depth. And so when a man says this, he's likely very much in his feminine, in an apathetic energy where he doesn't want to commit to things. And so within
On behalf of the men, we only choose to stay single because we want peace of mind. Am I right, guys?
Until the right person comes along and works on himself in the meantime. This is an attribute of a healthy masculine male, and a man that's able to concentrate and focus his energy in such a way that's actually going to be really supportive and conducive once the right partner shows up, or once he's ready to take that step with the right partner. And this is the sort of dynamic and mentality that actually breeds and calls in soul connection as well, because the man is anchored into his masculine energy as opposed to dismissing the concept of relationship altogether, which is
Men realize they don't need a relationship to be happy anymore. No nagging, no arguments, no walking on eggshells. Just freedom, money, and time to do whatever they want. That's not loneliness, that's winning.
operate, of your own triggers where you're not taking accountability and reconciling that internally, you're not actually in a position to attract in what would be like a deep soul connection anyway. So all of these things are interconnected. They all play into one another. But the difference is that when you are connected to self, you see the mirroring and the divinity in others. When you are not connected to yourself, you see through the eyes of separation, of somebody else wanting to take from you, as opposed to being with an open and generous heart that actually allows you to feel the fullness of what a relationship can actually bring for you.
I see a lot of women saying that men aren't pursuing them. They're not pursuing them anymore. They don't know what they have to do to get a man to pursue them. But listen, let me tell you something. Dating has changed so much post Me Too era. Men, especially younger generations of men, Gen Z, millennial generations, they are not going to pursue women the same way that they pursued women in the past because they don't want to come off as creepy, weird, whatever. Dating has changed. If you are a woman and you want a man, you are going to have to put some effort in. They're not going to chase you like they used to. Or it's not. Especially if you're dating in the Gen Z millennial range. Like, you're going to have to put some work in if you want a man. They're not going to be calling you, showing up to your house with flowers. That's just creepy now. All right.
This motherfucker is locked.
This generation of men are wise now. If both parties aren't putting in complete effort to make a relationship, then it's not going to work. Because men looked at what pursuing women gets them. Constant rejection, being called creepy for trying, and competing with her entire contact list. So these are some of the reasons why we stopped putting in effort. Alright, that's it for this episode. If you made it this far, make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop a like on the video. I'll catch you in the next episode.